Hello, my name is Henriette and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'd love to have you here. In this video, I'm gonna get decorating for Halloween and I'm gonna start with my living room and my kitchen. And if you keep watching till the end, I'll also show you how to set a super cool table for Halloween. In the living room, I'm going to be using some of the items I created in my previous videos, like this little stick house, like the wreath, and of course the clutches. I'm changing my lampshades to black, just for a bit of extra spookiness. I wonder if any of you have ever watched Hitchcock's The Birds. I want to kind of recreate a little bit of that on my fireplace. So I'm adding some of these crows, which are already on the wreath, down onto the fireplace for that effect. I think it works really well because we have got a mirror hanging above our fireplace, so you kind of get double the birds. My approach to Halloween is probably quite vintage. I really like using the colour orange, which is why I added the garland just for a punch of colour. And I'm also going to add some spider webs and some spiders because that really signifies Halloween. I also like adding things like skulls and of course pictures. So this picture is actually hand painted by one of our friends. And it's a picture of our house, which is a Gothic Victorian house. So I think it sits quite well in this setting. This blanket came from HomeSense and it was $19.99 and I really like it because of all the skulls. I'm going to reuse this little wooden box. I originally used it for my fall porch, but I'm just going to add a skeleton hand and a little spider to make it fit in with the Halloween theme. Just to balance it out, I'm going to add a couple of pumpkins to the other side. I want this room to feel quite dark and moody, so I'm going to be adding dark grey blankets together with dark orange cushions and also this pumpkin that I made myself last year. Carrying on with this moody feel, I'm going to be adding this big black dish to my coffee table and I'm going to pair it with our visitors book. It is very heavy and it is very large, but it fits really well. To add height to our coffee table, I want to bring in this vase which I have filled with oak leaves. I found this old medical book in a thrift store some years ago and it is just perfect for Halloween because it even has a picture of a skeleton hand. Of course, I'm going to add some pumpkins, and this little wooden one came from Hobbycraft and it's currently trending. It was £10 and I'll be sure to link it below. I'm not just going to leave this bowl empty. In fact, I want to dress it up for Halloween. So I'm going to add a wreath which I'm going to fill up with faux pumpkins. And of course, I'm going to cover it with a little bit of spider web. I think spider web looks the best when you've really stretched it. It is a bit more fiddly and it takes a bit longer, but I think it's worth it. I want to finish this bowl off with some skeleton hands and a little spider. Whichever season or event that I'm decorating for, I tend to walk around my house and just find all items that I've already got and which will fit in. That way you end up saving some money and not buying things you've already got. We have this little reading nook over by our bay windows and I like to decorate that area too, and I'm going to be reusing the cushions that I had for fall. I also wanted to create a little vignette for our little table, and I'm going to be using faux leaves in my vase here. I'm using 3 stems and I quite often find that that's enough. I hand painted the vase myself and gave it some texture by using baking powder. Next, I'm going to bring in a jar that I created in my previous video, and this one is full of Spanish moss, skulls and spiders. To finish off, I'm going to bring in a thrifted book and I'm going to add a candle on top of that for some extra interest. Now this little candle came from TK Maxx and it is so sweet, a little cauldron. I'm back to changing lampshades again, and this time I'm working over in the corner of the room where we have got our bar cart. This is on top of a radiator cover, so I'm not going to add too many bits because we're coming up to that time of year where we might need to turn the heating on again. This basic witch candle also came from TK Maxx. Again, on the bar cart, I'm not going to add too many things because it's already quite full. But I am going to add a few Halloweeny bits just to make it fit in with the rest of the room and of course make it spooky. The last area that I wanted to add a few Halloweeny bits to is our large book cupboards. Again, I'm not going to go too mad in here because I want our fireplace to be the focal point of our room. So I'm just going to add a few pumpkins and call it a day. And I think that's all I'm going to do in this room. And here it comes, all finished. Next is a kitchen Halloween makeover. I'm going to be starting off with the little shelves in the corner of our kitchen, and some of the items I'm using here I created in my previous Halloween videos, and I'll be sure to link them below in the description box. If you are enjoying this video so far, please like, comment and subscribe. I absolutely love hearing from you all, and I promise that I will reply. I'm using my old Dickens books to decorate these shelves, and I'm also using items that I've already got, like the little crows. I'm really into crows this year, and I don't know what it is, but they just seem to work really well. The other thing I'm really into this year is the burnt orange pumpkins. I don't know, they're just so warm and welcoming. I really like them. The little metal spiders are actually candle holders, and I reckon I've had them for over 30 years. Next to the cooker, I'm going to start off by adding some chopping boards. They make for a nice background. Then I'm going to use this rustic looking black plant pot, well almost black plant pot, and I'm going to fill it with all my wooden utensils. And to make it a bit scary, I'm going to add a broken skeleton arm. On the other side of the cooker, I'm going to add a little black metal dish. Now we like having a dish here next to our cooker where we put our olive oil and our salt and pepper because we use it for cooking all the time. But to make it scary, I'm going to add a skeleton hand. Tea towels are such a great way to bring in a bit of seasonal fun, and these ones came from HomeSense. We also have a really narrow shelf above our cooker, and it's a bit hard to decorate because it's so narrow, but I'm going to give it a go. Whilst I'm decorating these shelves, I wanted to give you a few Halloween facts. Did you know that the word witch comes from the Old English visi, meaning wise woman? At one time, these women were highly respected, and according to popular belief, witches held meetings known as sabbats on Halloween night. Also, the first jack-o'-lanterns were actually made from turnips. For our little coffee/tea corner, I'm going to keep my scalloped edge tray because I love it so much. But I'm going to add black tea cups, obviously my tea and coffee, and then I've tied a crow onto one of these lovely burnt orange pumpkins. And I think that looks great. For my windows, I'm going to reuse these little wreaths that I had for fall. I'm going to add some bats. Now I've made these bats out of foam sheets, just really simple, just cut them out using a template, and I'm going to just attach them with some sticky potty, or white tack as we call it over here. So simple, but it looks so cute. For the sill itself, I'm going to add these 3 pots. Now I really like them because they've got very vintage looking numbers on the front. So my number 3 pot is going to get filled with bunny tail grass. I love the colour of this, it's so natural and it really works. My pot number 1 is going to have a hydrangea in it. Now this is a faux one. And my pot number 2 I'm going to fill with bones. Now these are also faux, just so you know. I'm going to finish it off with a skeleton hand. On the other side of the windowsill, I'm just going to place a couple more of these burnt orange pumpkins with a crow, of course. For my other window, I'm going to hang another wreath. I love these, they're so cute. And I'm going to add this witch's hat. Now this is from Hobbycraft and I'll be sure to link it below, and it lights up. For balance, I'm going to finish this windowsill off with another couple of pumpkins. On my kitchen island, I decided to bring in some of the really large cloches, or cloches, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Now these are the ones that I made in an earlier Halloween video, which I will link in the description box below. I think they look so good here, and they also make quite the statement. On the other side of my island, I'm going to bring in a metal tray. Now I think trays are great when it comes to decorating because it keeps the sort of decorations together. I'm going to be using 3 of my black candlesticks, which I'll put a black candle in, because I think that looks really spooky. I already had these couple of black pots, well, almost black pots, and I think they're going to work on here if I put in some dried hydrangeas. Now these are faux. I really like the colour of these hydrangeas, and I think brown works particularly well when it comes to Halloween. I also want to mix in some orange, so I'm going to add some more pumpkins. And off-white has also been another colour that I've used in my Halloween theme this year, so I'm going to place a couple of little skulls on top of the book. To finish it off, I'm going to bring in a spider, just again to make it feel a little bit more scary. All there's left is to light the candles, and then I'm happy that the kitchen is done. promised you a table setting for Halloween, and here it comes. I'm going to start off by using these little tablecloths that came from the pound shop or the dollar store. Then I'm going to layer it up using a black table runner that I made many years ago. I'm adding my black plates for this table setting, and I'm also going to add stainless steel cutlery. I want this table setting to fit in with the rest of my Halloween decorations, so I want to be using blacks, oranges, off-whites and a bit of brown. Now you may well remember these burnt orange napkins from one of my fall table settings, but I'm going to be reusing them. I'm also going to layer up the plates because this adds a bit of interest to the table, and of course I'm going to finish them off with a pumpkin. For the centre of my table, I want to bring in this big black vase. It's one that I've had for many years, but I'm going to fill it up with 3 different kinds of leaves because I want it to be a real statement. I'm also going to add some wine glasses. We will of course need these later on. Of course, any good table setting will need some candles, and I've brought in these candelabras. I bought them on eBay many years ago, and they're probably made out of poor man's silver because they weren't very expensive. I'm going to pair them with black candles. I also thought it might be fun to tie a little bit of spider web around these candelabras and add a spider. Then it was time to bring in some of the jars that I've made in my previous videos. All the pumpkins that I'm using for this table setting are by Gisela Graham, and I'll be sure to link them all in the description box below. I'm going to bring in some bones next because I want there to be a bit of off-white on the table too, and I'm going to add a skull to that as well. I told you earlier I have a thing for crows this year, so of course there'll be some of them on the table too. I'm going to start off by attaching some to the leaves that I have on the table and also a couple to the bones. All there's left is to add a few more pumpkins and a few fallen leaves just to make it look a bit sort of more real. Time to light the candles, and I think that just about does it. Lastly, I also wanted to show you how to make a really easy and fun Halloween cake. I'm going to start off by baking a basic chocolate cake. Now, who doesn't like chocolate cake? And this recipe is by Jane's Patisseries, and I'll be sure to drop a link in the description box below. As the weather is changing and the leaves are falling, I love nothing more but going inside and doing a bit of baking. I find it so relaxing, and I often find myself doing a bit of daydreaming. Do you have any special bakes for Halloween? If so, I'd love to hear about them. Into the oven they go, and I ended up baking these 2 for just over 30 minutes. I leave them to cool for about 10 minutes before I take them out of the cake tins, and then I let them completely cool before I start decorating. I'm going to make up some chocolate buttercream to cover the cake with, and I'm going to slather it on this time. I usually like piping, but slathering it on works for this cake. Further decorate the cake, I melt some white marshmallows in the microwave for approximately 30 seconds. It depends on your microwave and how hot it is. I stir it thoroughly until it becomes like a gooey mess with no lumps in it. I then leave it for about 3 minutes to cool down a little bit, and then using 2 forks, I make sort of long gooey strings that I drape across the cake. But beware, this can get messy. That's pretty much all from me today. I'm going to leave you with some videos of me finishing off this funny spiderweb Halloween cake. Have a fabulous week, and I'll see you soon. Much love from London.